Um, I'd like to welcome all of you who are coming along. And first of all, I'll introduce you to I'm Des Runyon. I'm a professor of pediatrics at the University of Colorado and one of the partners in crime for this summer research session. And I'll introduce my colleagues. Mary, you want to say hello, unmute yourself and say welcome people?
Hi, I'm Mary. You should have all received multiple emails from me by this point. I help kind of coordinate and get everything pulled together. So you should all have my contact information. Feel free to reach out at any point if you have questions.
Thank you, Mary. And Carol, do you want to introduce yourself? You have to unmute.
Hi, I'm Carol Runyon, faculty member in the Colorado School of Public Health and instructor in course 3. And my colleague, Ashley Brooks Russell, I was just emailing her. She was having trouble getting on Zoom, but she'll be joining us in a moment.
Terrific. John?
Yes, so I'm John Fluke, also on faculty with the Kemp Center, and as Des put it, one of the key organizers of the Institute. So looking forward to meeting everybody in person eventually.
Great. Thank you, John. And Dan, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Dan Lindberg. I work with Des on course number 1, and I'll be working with the after course mentorship sessions.
Terrific. Well, let me just start by saying welcome again to this course.
Des, Ashley has joined us. So
oh, okay. Well, great. I didn't see Ashley on, but isn't she? Ashley, you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so sorry, Zoom issues. Ashley Brooks Russell, I'll be helping Dr. Carol Runyon with course 3.
Great, thank you. So let me just say a little bit about how this course began and not go into great detail because we've got a lot of other things to cover. But one of the things that I've been doing child abuse research for 40 years or close to 40 years, and there aren't very many junior people coming into this field. There are not enough, in part because the National Institutes of Health have, over the years, not done a very good job of supporting research in child abuse and neglect. So we put a proposal to them to support an R25 to help develop the field, and are looking for bringing more people into the field, both as researchers and as people who do translation of research in the field. So someone probably needs to mute. I'm having a little trouble here. Okay. But this course is designed to be an introduction to research skills for some folks who are working in the field. And the targets there are child abuse pediatricians and other clinicians who know about child abuse research, child abuse, but haven't had as much training in research.
Sharon, let's get back to back and take a picture for them.
A second group will be social science graduate students and public health graduate students who know about research but don't know as much about child abuse. And then a third group are people who are particularly interested in issues of prevention and dissemination. So the course 3 will be that. So we're glad you're all here. One of the principles of this course, though, is that rather than partitioning and segregating people off into their individual courses, we're going to have you interact with each other. We think that social science and public health graduate students will benefit from the questions that clinicians ask them, and clinicians will benefit from the questions that the social science graduate students will ask, and that the folks that are doing prevention will benefit from discussions about the clinical care and about the social science research and the epidemiology. And so we think there's a synergy of having all of you here. And so we're looking forward to it. So in general, there'll be 3 courses, and specifically there'll be 3 courses. Course 1 is for child abuse pediatrics fellows and for folks who are clinicians who may not be child abuse pediatrics fellows, but who know about the clinical side, but don't know about the research side. And child abuse pediatrics fellows are in fellowship, and one of the goals is that they have to do a scholarly project for that. And this course is designed to help lay the foundation for that. Carol? You're muted, Carol.
Sorry about that. So, so the third course is about the prevention of child abuse and neglect, and we'll be talking more about that in just a moment. And Ashley and I will be leading that together, but it's intended for both researchers and practitioners who are doing interventions or contemplating interventions and want to know about what's already been learned, what the evidence in the field is, and strategies for developing and evaluating interventions.
Terrific. John, I think you're next. You'll have to unmute as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so what we'll be addressing in course 2 is, again, we'll be talking about it in more depth, is information that's related to what's involved in the field with respect to research, sort of what the current research issues are, what the knowledge base is all about, what the range of issues are that are in some ways researchable, and as it says, they're learning about some of the endearing and enduring features of child abuse and neglect research.
Thanks. Carol, I think you're next on the next slide.
Actually, I think this is.
Oh, is this you, John? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. If somebody else wants to say something about this, that's great. This is just, you can see the photo of our offices, just to give you an idea. I think the most important thing is the blue sky and the fact that it's normally like that, at least in the mornings. Can get a little chilly at night. We will be doing lectures and small group discussions most mornings in most of the courses. And then that'll be followed up by an opportunity to meet with each other, meet with various course presenters that are involved over lunch. And then every afternoon after lunch, we will have a seminar. And this year, we're really pleased with the folks who've agreed to join us. As you can see, David Finkelhor on Monday, Adam Zolotar with North Carolina, University of North Carolina on Tuesday. Wednesday, Christine Campbell, and Dan, I believe she's from Utah. I don't know Christine that well. Emily Putnam Hornstein from USC, and on Friday, Deborah Darrow, formerly with the Chapin Hall. So it's a very, I think, diverse group of presenters with a range of different topics that bear on issues that are related to research in our field. But as I said, we're really pleased with the level at which we're able to bring these folks into the process. But also, our plenary speakers will also be joining us for some of the courses as well, and participating in the course 1 and 2 mentoring workshops, which will occur after the plenary seminars. And then course 3 will continue on with additional lectures and small group exercises. In the evening, there will be a bit of homework that we hope everyone will be able to attend to, whether it be reading or engaging in research design development. And then there will also be some social events. And I think Dan will be talking a bit about some of the homework, and Mary will be updating us as far as a little bit as far as what some of the social events are that might be possible in the evenings. Questions about any of that?
So we're open to questions along the way. Just go ahead and kind of pipe in if you have questions, but I'll just mention a little bit more about course 1. Course 1 was informed by the curricula we put together for the Robert Johnson Clinical Scholars Program over the years, and is designed to be a rapid and intense introduction to getting clinicians to the point that they can do some of their own research in a valid and reliable way. And so we'll address a variety of study designs that are available to be used, and then we'll give some counsel about which ones might be the easiest ones to do during fellowship. So we'll talk about study designs, we'll talk about sampling and where you get the data, and what kind of people you involve in it, whether you're going to sample from professionals or you're going to sample from patients or medical records, etc. We'll talk about how you would measure what the abuse and measure the other potential variables you're interested in, and then also analysis strategy. We'll spend some time talking about where the sources of data are in the area of child abuse and neglect. And actually during the week, in collaboration with other courses, we'll also talk a little bit about the human subjects issues that child abuse brings up because of the potential legal implications for families for acknowledging abuse or neglect. We'll talk about the threats to validity, some of the other things that this is clearly socially prescribed behavior that people are engaging in. They might not want to tell you what's going on, or they might want to underplay what's going on, or they may not tell you at all what's going on. And we'll talk a little bit about how people have worked with data and with those threats to validity in mind. Next slide. John, you're on for course 2.
Yeah, so course 2, as we've mentioned, is designed essentially for social science researchers and public health researchers from multiple disciplines, and who are interested in applying their skills and their background and their questions that they might have to issues that relate to child maltreatment. And so it's designed to provide some basic background and to give the participants an opportunity to understand some of the issues of working in a cross-disciplinary field and what the sort of unanswered research questions are that are perhaps driving some of the agendas that are occurring at the moment. We want to provide an exposure to the overall epidemiology of the problem. We want to talk a bit about the systems of prevention and intervention, their context, and kind of the research that are associated with those various systems. We also want to talk about the ethical issues and the data sources that are available to support research related to child maltreatment. We want to also talk a little bit about issues concerning measurement and also how outcomes are defined and what they might be in different contexts that we will have discussed in some of the prior days. And then we'll also be looking at some selected issues that we hope will be of interest to at least the majority of people who will be attending. And that'll be a process that we'll engage participants in as we go to kind of sort out their interests and their needs with regard to some of these types of topics that are listed here, as well as potentially some others. So I think course 3 is next.
Yeah, so the next slide, I am unmuted this time. So course 3 is a little bit different in that we are focusing exclusively on prevention with an emphasis on primary prevention and a public health perspective on prevention and primary prevention in particular. A couple of sessions will be shared with course 2 as we learn about work going on in policy. Joanne Clevens from the CDC will be zooming in to give that session, and will be followed with Adam Zolator, who will be in person talking about policy issues at a practical level, at the state level, as well as his research on doing prevention at a statewide level. We will be zooming in a number of other investigators for 1 hour or 1.5 hour time slots to talk about their work as examples of child abuse prevention. They include Ron Prince talking about Triple P, Bob Segi from Tufts University talking about more clinically focused interventions, Jill McClay talking about the Strong Communities program, David Olds and Nurse Family Partnership will be in the room with us, not zooming in. And some folks from our state health department will also be coming over to talk about some of the work going on through state health departments to address child abuse prevention largely with funding from CDC. Each of you will be developing an intervention and evaluation project. I'm going to let Ashley explain that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so we'll be asking each of you to come to the class with a topic of interest and some introductory thoughts about the intervention and how you would evaluate that intervention approach. And throughout the course of the week, we'll have time to discuss as a group and also do some mentoring to develop those ideas, such that by the end of the week, you could present your draft program plan and evaluation. And then there'll be, I think it's an additional week to work on the final draft, which is the major project of the course, the final draft of the intervention and evaluation plan. And so we'll be, through lectures and the mentoring sessions, helping to give you the tools to make that final paper.
Yeah, and we'll finish off the week with discussion about how to write a funding application for both federal funding, but also for foundation funding or other funding sources that might be more applicable in a practice environment, to give you hopefully the tools so that as you develop your plans further, that you will have the opportunity to seek funding to actually carry them out.
Thank you, Carol. Any questions? So this is designed to be a really intensive boot camp to get you up to speed pretty quickly. And so there are a couple things that are worth mentioning. First of all, as John told you, the mornings are largely going to be seminars and lectures and group discussions. There'll be a noon or 1 o'clock seminar each day of a researcher presenting their work. And then there will be, for courses 1 and 2, there will be group mentoring in small groups to help you develop your project, so that by the end of the week, you'll have at least we hope will be a reasonable start on a research project that you might engage in. So before you arrive, there are you should look at the course syllabus, and articles for the course can be found in Canvas. And the course syllabus has lots of reading and written assignments of the day. The folks who are taking course 1 were using a textbook called Designing Clinical Research, and there are readings that we're expecting you have done before you come. There's also a second assignment for course 1, which is that you have to pick a topic for your research project, the proposed project. One learns a lot better about how to do research if you are actually thinking about something that you're going to do and how the lessons might apply to you. So you need to come with a clinical question or a research question that you're going to use. So please give some thought to that research question before you come. We moved the course back a week from what we did it last year in order to have, for the child abuse pediatrics fellows, to have an extra week to be able to interact with the faculty at your site, to have a discussion with them about research questions, and you can sound them out about some of your ideas or hear what some of their ideas might be for your research project, so that you can come with something in mind. You should get a head start on the readings before you come and think about the questions. And so those are the main things. We may tell you the research project that you came with isn't workable or isn't going to be done, and you may leave at the end of the week with a completely different research project. But even if that's the case, with long experience teaching research methods, it's a lot better if you're thinking about a specific project when you think about the lessons that you're going to hear. They'll stick with you a lot better. You should have access to the course's Canvas site. There's a Canvas site for each of the courses, and Mary will have has sent those links to you, and the readings and assignments are uploaded on there already. There are textbooks for course 1 that have all been sent out to you, and so be on the lookout for those. It'll be important to get a head start on reading chapter 1 and 2 before you come. And if you're having trouble talking with your advisor or getting their time because they're clinically busy or whatever, and you need some more, you'd like to sound us out or just have an interaction ahead of time, I think all of us at Kemp would be happy to take a call and just kind of talk with you a little bit about the project. But it really will, you'll get a lot more out of the course if you come with a question that you want to research in mind. And I suspect that's also the case for John, although I didn't practice those remarks for him as well.
It's also true, even though it's not necessarily research in the same way. It's we expect you to come with a project in mind, and again, it is a work in progress. We'll help you with it. There are 2 reading assignments for course 3 that we want you to do in advance of coming. One of them is not yet posted on the Canvas, but will be up within the next day. But we encourage you to get started with that, and also to get started in looking at the other readings. This is a really rapid pace, and our discussions in class depend on you having done the readings, and there are daily assignments for developing discussion questions and responses to the readings. So you really need to be able to pace yourself to do that. And I know last year many students found it helpful to have done a lot of the readings before they got here.
Thank you, Carol. Good, John?
Same is true for course 2. The more that you come prepared, of course, the better. There are readings that are associated with the curricula that's been distributed and will be available for you to access in advance, as well as the idea of organizing a research question that you're interested in is an important part of the process, so that we can proceed into the mentoring discussions. But I think that you'll find that those discussions are really beneficial in terms of helping to refine those ideas and to give you input from not only those of us who have been doing research in this area for a while, but your peers who will also bring important experience to bear in this area as well.
And I'll just add, I'm sorry. That's one of the reasons we wanted to, I'm hearing an echo here. So, one of the reasons that we're really looking forward to having the interaction between the 3 classes is because you will help sharpen the research questions by asking questions of your colleagues and discussing ideas, and that's an important part of what's going on. Okay, and after the course, Dan?
I think you heard unanimously that it's important to have a research topic, and that research topic is not necessarily carved in stone and may change throughout the course of the week. It may change after the week. You may come out with what's a bright and shiny research question and take it home, and your mentor will say, we can't do that at our center, or that's not consistent with what we're doing. And even if they don't, you're going to run into roadblocks unless you're extremely remarkable in the year after you leave. And we want to be there to help. So for courses 1 and 2, we will be holding monthly web-based work-in-progress mentorship sessions where people will get to present where they are and the challenges they're facing. We're expecting participants to present about 2 to 3 times per year. This is not a huge amount of work to prepare these things. We don't expect people to have finished data in most of these, and ideally it's really just what are the pitfalls you've experienced, what are the roadblocks you're running into, how can we help and continue to touch base with you as mentors. And so you'll get advice from senior mentors, and hopefully you'll be able to give advice and receive advice as peer mentors from other people in the course. So we look forward to that, and details about how to join that will be available at the course.
Thank you, Dan. Mary, do you want to talk about the logistics?
Yep. So as far as logistics go, you should have all received an email from me yesterday with the login information for your course's Canvas site. I know Des already touched on this a little bit, but on the home page you will have your schedule by day. All of the reading assignments can be found under the files section, with the exception of the Course 1 textbook. Course 1 students, those textbooks are on their way to you, so keep an eye out. Written assignments can be found under the assignments tab. Included there are the deadlines for each of those assignments. And then there's a discussion board too that is open to each of you to talk amongst yourselves if you have questions for your peers. So definitely get in there, play around a little bit. If you have any issues, either logging in or navigating, please just reach out to me. Some of the emails to keep track of. I know you've all received quite a few so far. I will be sending out a recap of this webinar with the video. In addition to that, you should have already received your detailed syllabus. It was sent out on Monday and yesterday as well. So that also has the schedule breakdown for each day, as well as all the written assignments and reading assignments listed by day. The course Canvas page, and then in addition to the webinar recap, I will be sending out an email with some social event opportunities. What those will look like are on Sunday, for those of you who are going to be coming in that afternoon or evening, I'll work with the Spring Hill Suites, for those of you who are staying there, to have a shuttle to the Stanley Marketplace. It's probably about 5 miles away from where we are, has a lot of food options, some drink options, some shopping. So a place where we could all meet up and either grab a bite to eat, have a drink, get to know one another in a social setting. Monday, August 5th, we do expect that you arrive at the Kemp Center at 8 a.m. We will have some coffee, some light breakfast. You'll be introduced to each of your instructors at that day, and then we'll walk over to the school where your course will be held. I will send out instructions on how to get here and all of that. Tuesday, we will organize a group outing to downtown and do an escape room for those of you who would like to join. You can still go if you don't want to do the escape room. There's a full restaurant and bar there. The escape room will be $30 a person, so I will send out that information, as well as an option to sign up if you'd like to join in. And for Stanley Marketplace and the escape room, I have put links to the websites, and I'll send out that information to you as well. Thursday, after your course wraps up, we will be having a reception at the Kemp Center where all of our guests, all of our speakers, yourselves, and some other of our Kemp Center team here will be invited, so you can get to know our larger community. Contact information, again, as I mentioned, you should all have my email. If you have not received emails from me, please let me know. I do have our address on there where we'll be meeting. Again, I'll send more information on how to get to us as we get a little bit closer. And my work phone is listed there as well. So please feel free to reach out at any time.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
So now is the opportunity for questions. Any of our audience have questions that have popped into their heads about the week? Or have we scared you with all the work we're going to expect you to do?
Just be sure you unmute if you're trying to ask a question.
So in summary, we're expecting it'll be an engaging and intensive week. We'll try and not make it all work and no play, but there's obviously a lot of work we're trying to accomplish. There are a few people that are going to go after graduate school credit for it. We have about 45 contact hours or total work hours for the one credit course required. So that's why it feels like it's so intense.
And I'm here to help. A little sun here, a touch of white there.
Okay, so we're looking forward to seeing all of you in Denver. It will be cooler than where some of us are right now. We're looking forward to being there ourselves. And if you have questions ahead of time, feel free to first call Mary and she can triage to one of us if we can help, or if you have research questions that you'd like to kind of run by either John or myself or Dan or Carol or Ashley, we're happy to do that as well. I see a note from Claire McMillan. Course number 2 syllabus mentions literature search by midnight. It's actually course 1 that I put in. I don't know. Do you have a literature search, John, for your course 2? John?
John, you're muted.
Let me bring up the curriculum.
I should just note, for course one of the things that really helps is to have some sense of what other people have done on the question you have. And so I suggest that the expectation was for course one that you would have a research question and that you would do a simple PubMed search to at least look at your question and see what other people have done on it so that you come a little bit more prepared when you come. And it helps us if you'll send that to the faculty ahead of time. We'll have, if there's some other references we know about that you don't know about, we can point them to you and help direct you in your literature search. If we know of other work that's done, and between Dan and myself in the child abuse area, and then with John and Carol and Ashley and others, we can probably help expand your lit search if there's something you've missed.
Right.
This is not a literature review that's a draft of a paper to be published. This is just look through the literature.
Right.
Right.
Just be familiar with literature that pertains to your question. And it's more of an opportunity. I don't know that it necessarily has to be something that can't be flexible, but to the extent that you come into the process with some familiarity, I think you'll be better prepared for the discussions.
John, the question specifically that, as I'm reading it on the chat, is midnight August 1st the correct deadline?
Yes. However, if there's a need to extend that for some reason, if that's not a realistic date for you, let me know, and we can certainly modify that as appropriate. What we're trying to do is have an opportunity to take a look at what you've come up with so that we have an opportunity to think about it a bit in advance and make sure that we've lined up other resources that might be helpful.
I think for course one, I think I said Sunday night. The 4th is when we needed that. But the goal was to make sure that you guys have looked at the literature before you come, so that, and we've had a chance to kind of see what you've found, so we can say, hey, but you haven't found this article by David Olds, or you haven't found that article by Chris Campbell or something. So we'll try and identify holes in your search if you haven't found something that we think is critical.
Yeah, and for course 3, we set a deadline of midnight August 2nd, which is the Friday before the course starts, to have an outline of what you're thinking about. And so again, this is just to help us kind of know where you're starting out and to help you focus so that we can, hit the ground running when we start on Monday.
I'm barefoot. I know, I'm barefoot. Did you ever do that medical record review? Remember that not expedite?
It's next on my path.
Can the kid go home?
Oh.
Did you see the email, Eric? I think.
Oops, sounds like somebody's doing some work other than this.
That's okay. So there's no. That's what I said. I said there's no concern for abuse. We'll give you the preliminary.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
It's stacked somewhere. This is on my page.
Andrews, you need to mute yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good. Any other questions? Well, we're all available to answer your questions between now and the start. And if you have trouble Carol and I are in North Carolina right now, but we'll be in Denver the week before, the whole week before. And John's there, of course, already. Mary can help track us down or get a message to us if you're having trouble tracking us down. And we're looking forward to meeting all of you. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you all.
See you soon.